Hey guys, it's your girl DJ Sims and I am here with DJ Limelight and welcome back to the Culture Podcast.
That's right, and we have a real special guest today. We've got Shayoon in the building, straight from Kenya, if I'm not mistaken. But you've travelled a lot around the world. I think it's very important to emphasise that nice and early. But welcome to the Culture Podcast.
It's
nice to have you up in it.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, it would have been nice if your friends clapped as well. But, you know, I know they're hungry right now, but, you know, it gets like that. So let's kickstart the conversation with, Shayoon, who are you and what do you actually do? Because a lot of people that are probably going to tune into this might be seeing you and hearing you for the first time in the UK. And obviously myself and Sims are very musically orientated. And that's also part of your journey, but not the central focus of your journey in terms of what you've been doing over the last however many years.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. Who am I and what do I do is like a very loaded question. However, first and foremost, I am a mother and I specialize in helping people find their purpose and completely heal from whatever it is that is holding them back in life. I went on my healing journey a really long time ago, and I am where I am today because of all of my experiences of traveling and living all over the world. And so I am a healer, primarily with a focus in all of the arts, because I believe that we wear many hats and we shouldn't just be, programmed to just say I'm one thing and not have many other talents. So, yeah.
And for those people who might not actually know exactly what healing is, because some people just naturally, I guess, aren't into that, but we want to make everyone aware. Mm-hmm. What would you actually describe healing to be? So what is healing?
So, look, we are programmed to believe from the get-go when we're born that we're sinners, that everything is wrong, to fear God, to fear life, to have so many things that suppress us, especially in our culture. We're not allowed to speak about certain things, act certain ways, wear certain things, be who we truly are because we're told what to do. We're indoctrinated into so much that isn't really who we truly are. The foundation of who we really are and where we come from is love. Everything else is taught. So we have to really heal from everything that happens to us in our entire life. And if you think about it, we've been hurt so many times. We've been scarred so many times. If you cut your hand, you wouldn't go about your day bleeding all over the place, right? You would tend to your wound. And the same thing goes for your emotions. You need to tend to those emotional scars and those things that have happened to you. So when you look at it, it doesn't hurt, right? Mm. And so you're not carrying that pain with you. And so you're not living your life in distress and in pain and in suffering. Most people are suffering, most people don't even know why they're actually here. And we're all here for a great innate purpose. And we have so many people trying to live in their purpose without fully healing. And the prerequisite to the embodiment of your full purpose is to heal first so that you can go ahead and be who you truly are and do what you're serve and do what you're here to truly do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're going to touch more in depth about that as well. I feel like there's a lot of interesting things that you're saying. But how did you get into healing in the first place? Because to even get to a point to understand yourself, to be able to heal yourself or be around people and scenarios where you can heal, but then to now pass it on to other people, how did you get to that point?
So I was in a really terrible car accident when I was younger, and I was actually in fashion and in the system and in the industry, right, which was totally opposite. I grew up Muslim. I grew up thinking that, healing and all of these things are really looked down upon. It's witchcraft. It's you don't really come back to yourself. You go straight to the medical system, right? And so I was in a terrible car accident when I was younger, and I was told I was never going to be able to walk properly again. Wow. I'm not going to be able to have children. I'm not going to be able to live the life that I really wanted to live. And as a teenager, you feel like your entire life is being stripped from you. So when they told me, you can't, you'll never dance properly again, you can't wear heels, it was something that I just really didn't understand, why all of these medical professionals and these huge, leaders of the system didn't have anything else to share except for, no, sorry, you're just going to be subscribed and prescribed to the system, and that's it. And I didn't really resonate with that. And so I packed everything and I went to Los Angeles to pursue fashion. And when I was there, I actually went to a music festival called Coachella, when it was really cool and it was one weekend. And no one really was, in that scene. But during that time, I met my husband, who introduced me to the healing arts. And he was basically over my pain story, my pain body, because when you're that sick, right, and you're only taught to be that sick, you're only taking pills because nobody else has the other answer. You're only numbing your pain, you're drinking, you're doing whatever you can to suppress what's really going on. And so I was really infatuated by the idea that you can heal yourself in a different way other than the
and
system.
not rely on.
Yeah. And he was like, let me show you a technique called EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. And I didn't realize that the actual core of my pain was my own anger, my own depression and sadness towards my body. And so like I couldn't touch my toes. I couldn't wear heels. And so one day we're in Vegas for a trade show because he had a really big fashion company. And he was like, I'm done with your pain story. Like, just sit down with me. And I'm like, okay, I'll try your weird meditations. Like I didn't even know what, taking care of yourself or sitting with yourself really looked like. And within 5 minutes, I was in a downward dog FaceTiming my parents, like, look, I can touch my toes again. And I'm talking about years about not even being able to like move my spine forward.
Wow.
And so I became obsessed with wanting to understand, like, wow, your mind actually has more control and your body has more control over anything. We have the innate power within us to heal ourselves. And if you just basically retrain what what the belief was, you can change your life. So it was actually the accident that changed my life. And I had to go through all of that to really realize.
To understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
You mentioned like how much we play a part in ourselves in terms of suppressing things and not being able to like fully understand our own purpose. I had a question about families, and because you mentioned love as well, right? But like, how much do parents, for example, play a part in making you not even understand or see things? Because we love our parents.
Yeah.
Majority of people love their parents, right? But like, do you feel like sometimes it's the loved ones that could hold you back from finding your
Absolutely.
purpose?
So I think that, also culturally, religiously, no matter really where you come from, I think that our parents and the generations before us didn't really have so much of a chance. Like, I think we have way more of an understanding of the true earth and like how things really work. And I think because of that, and because of all the suppression, and because of all of the wars and all of those terrible things that happened, there was only one way, and there was a certain way that things went about. And I can speak, on behalf of parents because I have 2 children. So I know what it's like to really be the example. And if like we pray before we play every day. My kids can sit longer in meditation than most adults. And it is about rewiring. And I love our culture and I love the tradition. I'm half Pakistani, half Indian from Africa. Like, there's so much beautiful culture there. But I always say we need to reform the traditions because there's so much that just doesn't resonate, and it's okay, instead of like putting it down, like we can renew basically our vows of unity by reprogramming the children and reprogramming ourselves first so that they can have prime examples of what it should be like. You take away one beautiful moment from a child, like, for instance, I was a dancer, and so many times like an auntie would be like, you're too old to dance now, and it takes away all of your passion. And it's like, you're too old to dance? Like, that's a really big program for a kid, and so it's all those micro traumas that we don't realize that we have. And then we have to systematically clear all of that so that we can be who we truly are, because those are the little things, the bullying, the time when this happened, the time when my father did this, the time when my mother said this to me, they actually shape who you think you are.
Yeah, even like playing down things, like even for both of us being DJs, we've both been through that, right?
Yeah,
like, you know,
I'm
like,
sure.
You know, when you're going to get a real job, or
yeah,
you know,
yeah, exactly.
You know, that kind of mentality, or you know, your female, for Sims, I've seen it, like her parents have really got behind her DJ career from when she was 17. Is you know, that's when we started working together, and to see that family support network, you know, and how well that can work in your favor if you've got the right mentality and the right people around you.
Absolutely.
We've definitely seen that, but we've seen a lot of people as well kind of miss opportunities, I feel. And you probably see a lot of that as well, like people around you or friends and family. I mean, how does that make you feel?
You know what? I have a very different approach. I'm known as the rebel, or like the black sheep, which I love, because like I do not have any interest in being a part of anything that is of a low vibration at all. And I'm here to serve. I'm here to make a difference. I'm here to make a change. And change doesn't come from sitting down and being complacent. You have to be able to make a change by being the example, I truly feel like. And so I really don't mind if people think a certain way of me. It's not my business what other people think of me, right? What my job is to do the work and to be light in so much darkness. Yeah.
And I feel like, as you mentioned, a lot of adults probably have experienced traumas from being a child growing up, but not actually knowing. And they might be in situations where like one day they realize, oh, maybe this was a trauma from when I was a kid. But like, how can an adult fully understand their traumas and actually realize, okay, cool, I need to work on these traumas because as a kid this is what happened to me, and now I'm living with that, but not actually realizing it. So how can they actually figure out what their traumas are and what type of traumas can they even be experiencing? Yeah,
so I think that the fundamental component of healing is to accept the fact that everybody has so much stuff that they've been through, right? So you have to be willing to look at it and say, okay, I'm willing to go through this, and to really say, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Because what happens is, right, anything that you are going through emotionally will turn into a physical ailment. It's psychosomatic, it's science. We all know that because I have anxiety, I'm going to have some sort of an issue that I haven't dealt with in the past. If I am sad, or I have depression, it's because I haven't dealt with the emotional issue, right? Anything physical that you have going on with you is directly related to an emotional cause that you've never cleared. So if you're sitting with somebody who's an adult, whether they're an adult or our age, and you can tell that they're triggered or they have something going on emotionally, it's because they have something that they haven't dealt with, right? And so the key here is to remove systematically, which is what we do at the Light Force Center, systematically remove every single instance in your life that has a negative charge toward you. So Sims, if I was like, hey, tell me an instance in your childhood, we start from the beginning. Tell me an instance right now that still bothers you. Can you remember anything from your childhood?
I don't know, because you're putting me on the spot. If I was to sit down and actually think, I probably would be able to come up with a few things.
Right?
And maybe like, because you're asking when I was a child, I probably can't remember on the top of my head, but I can imagine if I sat down and really thought, I would probably be able to remember. Because there's been times where I felt really anxious, for example, but I'm like, wait, why do I feel anxious? Like, what's actually causing me to feel anxious? And it's that massive question mark when you don't actually look into it. As to what? Like, what's making me feel like that?
So for example, this is just an example. The time when I was bullied on the playground, I felt unloved, unwanted, sad, depressed. You have multiple emotions under each instance that relate to one subject. So imagine if you can still feel every one of those emotions in your body, you're carrying that with you now in your adulthood from that one thing. So what we do is we rank those emotions on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst. And most people are like 9s, 10s, 5s, and that's chronic. And it could be that little thing that you don't realize is the actual cause and trigger of what you're feeling now in your adulthood. And it's so simple. All you have to do is go back, recall, and clear it. And that's the key difference between what we do at Light Force Center and therapy, right? And talk therapy is beautiful and all of that, but there's no real solution. And the solution here is when you remove it, you don't feel it. It's science. It's really simple. And I think that's what most people don't understand, is that you can't talk your way through. I talk to so many people who are like, I've been in therapy for like 17 years. I'm like, it's clearly a problem, you know? Like, the point is, healing has an end date. We do not have to live our entire life healing. We're not here for that. We're here for a purpose. We're here to help other people. We're here to change the world, right? You can't go about your life in mourning for all the things that happen to you. So the quicker you release, the quicker you heal from it, the quicker you can get on with everything.
Yeah, and you also mentioned that obviously emotional can turn into physical. So if you're experiencing any sort of emotional pain, whether that's like depression, anxiety, any feelings emotionally, it can turn into physical.
Of course.
So what are some examples of that? Because I do feel like it's right. For example, if I'm anxious, I might feel a weird sensation in my stomach, for example. Yeah. Like there's a big correlation there. Yeah. Obviously, it's scientifically proven as well.
Yep.
So if you were to clear all of those, technically you can clear from all your physical pain as well.
100%. And that's what we're kind of known for. You know, our students report healings from cancers, from autoimmune diseases on Zoom calls. You know, that it's just, it's a crazy choice. But we have, it really, when you suppress something, it turns into something crazy. Like, I unfortunately work with a lot of people who have been raped, sexually abused, the worst of the worst, right? And when you suppress all of that for so many years, it's going to turn into something physical if you don't take care of it. And unfortunately, most people don't realize that, you know? And so you really have to take care of yourself, just like it's called spiritual hygiene. Just like you would wake up in the morning and brush your teeth and take a shower and go about your day, you have to do that with your inner self. You have to sit down, you have to clear your entire being before you step out to try to go about your day and you know, go to your job. If you sat down every single day and you took 40 minutes for yourself, you would increase your productivity by 40%. And it's a fact, you know? So that's why when we work with people at Fortune 500 companies or top, you know, musicians in the industry or people who have high performing, you know, commitments, if you sit with yourself, they always say you put your oxygen mask on first before you help anybody else. If you were to sit with yourself and completely clear yourself and completely be in your own zone before you went out into the world every day, we would have world peace.
No, for sure. And what about turning pain into purpose? Because that's something that you're quite big on.
Huge.
I mean, that makes sense when I hear it, but I would love to know more about your kind of idea and how that works. Like, how do you actually turn pain into purpose? Because that journey must be quite full on. It could be quite long, could be quite deep.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
Absolutely. So turning pain into purpose takes a big amount of realization and self-actualization to understand that everything has a reason, everything has a purpose, and it's all divine reasoning. Everything is a lesson. And so when something crazy, painful happens to you, and you can shift the energy of it and say, okay, this happened to me for this reason, but I'm going to use it to better myself, to better the situation. For example, my 2-year-old then was almost taken from my hotel room by sex traffickers. And so that pain that I went through.
That's crazy. Where was that?
In Bali. And I woke up to a man trying to steal my baby. And then
so you actually saw the guy.
Yeah, I saw it.
Trying to grab your baby.
Yeah, I was a part of it, and it was the worst day of my life. But now it's the best thing that could have happened to me, because I turned that pain into working toward child rescue missions around the world, and now I have a nonprofit for rescuing children. Wow. But before that, I had no idea that there was an entire ring of, you know, as parents, you never think this is going to happen to me, and it happened to me. It didn't happen to me. I have my child, but it could have happened to me. And because
it was happening in front of me.
It was happening in front of me. And because he left his phone in our room, I was able to see exactly what it was that they were targeting. Wow. So they wanted a mixed baby. They were going to get more money because they thought he was a girl. He's actually a boy because he has long hair. So there's so much that goes on the dark web. And
so he turned up to, like, what was it, like a hotel?
It was a hotel. I was doing a photo shoot. And because I wasn't fully in my purpose. I was half in, half out. If I didn't accept the job, right? This is all about intuition. There's so much now that I would never do that I was still doing before. If I wouldn't have accepted this collaboration, this wouldn't have happened. And it was because I took a certain job that I shouldn't have.
Wow.
These people were following me. They knew where I was in the hotel. It's all about self-awareness. And I woke up to this man who was dressed as a transvestite with a long wig, and he was going to sell my child to a sex ring, and then it was going to, go from there. But from that, I learned so much about how to help parents. People don't understand that it is the biggest pandemic. Child sex trafficking and child sexual abuse is the biggest pandemic. 90% of our clients and students have been sexually abused before the age of 4. And it is something people don't want to talk about. They shy away from it. But when you have children of your own, it's like I always say, like, your children do not belong on the internet. It's huge. They're now taking photos of children and doing the worst things imaginable. And so I am on a mission right now to educate people and to really understand, like, how it is that we can step up and help. So when you turn your pain into purpose, that's a prime example of that, right? You have to do something with what happened to you. If you're going to be so hurt for that long, you have a responsibility to go out and do something about it, because it's not you.
And is your child aware of what happened now, like when they look back at it? Or
no, he was really young, so no. But what he is educated. He understands boundaries. Like in our culture, go give this uncle a hug, go give this auntie a hug. No, you don't have to be physical with anybody you don't want to be. If he doesn't want to hug you, he'll say no, sorry. He'll literally be at like a gym, and there was a teacher, and he was like, I don't like his energy, so I don't want to be a part of it. So you have to emotionally, the things that you should be taught in school, my kids are homeschooled for that reason, they don't teach you in school. They don't teach you to be emotionally aware. They don't teach you to have boundaries. They don't teach you about anything that you actually need. Why? Because it's a system, and the system is designed to break you down and not lift you up. So we have to teach emotional awareness to our children. We have to teach them boundaries. We have to teach them everything else that we weren't taught, because it's so important to be able to stand on your own feet. And for men especially, it is so important to have an emotionally intelligent man versus somebody who's so closed off and doesn't understand what's really happening within the world. And to be able to teach that to your kids is a great honor.
And do you feel like as well unhealthy relationships between, so let's say, I don't know, like it could be both ways. I don't want to stereotype and be like the girl is experiencing toxic behavior from the guy, but it can be both ways. Yeah. Do you feel like an unhealthy relationship overall can really kind of like affect someone so emotionally that they don't know how to find that purpose at the end of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when you're in a relationship that isn't working, or you have so many issues, a lot of people don't have the courage to leave, or they want to do something. And again, this goes back to people don't have the courage to do things for themselves. They want to stay in the same situation to not hurt the other person. They put everybody else before their own emotions. If everybody actually was like, this isn't working out, regardless of how many kids we have or whatever's going on, and they don't fully do what it is that they should be doing for themselves, it keeps the same cycle, which then turns into ancestral lineage, right? Your kids are watching you do what you do, and you're passing that on, and that passes on. And we have so much to clear just from our own ancestors. I mean, I've been doing work for like 14 years with like clearing my grandma's stuff, It's like, so I think it's just an example, like when you have children and you have whether you have a union, which is sacred, or you have a fabricated situation, a lot of people aren't. I can't tell you really on one hand how many couples that I can mention that are actually in a real relationship. Everybody is stuck or in a cycle or not operating from love.
Would you say it's to do with being insecure and just wanting to find comfort in that situation, that okay, like this is the right thing to do, and then it just puts me in that routine? And
I think people have a big problem with what's the right thing to do and what is going to be looked down upon or talked about, or I think everything, that especially in our culture too, people do everything for everybody else's opinion versus for their own well-being.
I think it's beyond even our culture though. I think like if you grow up in London, in the UK, like there's things that...
You know what, you're right. It's not just our culture, but what I've witnessed. And
but you're going to witness that because that's your culture.
Yeah.
If you
but
was
it's
living
everywhere.
in the,
it's everywhere.
I see it everywhere.
And I've lived everywhere too, and I've seen it everywhere. And it's just basically that, you know, I think that the foundation of love has been so far taken away from what we truly know, that all we really know is what we see on the programs and all of the garbage on TV and social media and all of that. It's all fabricated. Everything, the whole bubble is fabricated, you know? And that's why I kind of came in with a needle to pop it all, you know, to just be like, yo, use your voice, do what you really want to do, feel what you want to feel, be who you want to be without any restriction, you know?
Yeah, for sure. There was one question I had for you. You mentioned religion.
Yeah.
So like, where does religion stand in your world? Like, because again, like, do you find that a lot of people become religious or turn to religion or just stick to the religion that they're born into out of, again, pressure from people, just the kind of convenience of, okay, that's probably the right thing to do, rather than actually educating themselves? Or do you find that religion brings a lot of elements of, a lot of qualities to somebody's life, or is it just an individual case? Like, I
think it's an individual case, but I also think personally, speaking from my own beliefs, that the more spiritual I became, the more work that I did brought me closer to my religion. Before that, it was a very fearful thing. You know, I'm a very big believer in God, 100%. Like, there's nothing else that you can't ever, you know, touch that on me. But in Islam, there's so much, and I'm sure in like other religions, what you can and cannot do. But my understanding of the beauty of the religion came after I found out who I was first, because then I was able to really identify why the greats said what they did, why the prophets said what they did. And I became way more appreciative of my religion after I had my healing. And I think that a lot of people before that have it forced upon them without kind of a choice, you know? And I think the best thing that I did was study all religions and all races. And I've sat in the jungle with different, you know, tribes, literally, with just a mosquito net. I've been to every type of denomination of church. I've sat in the gurdwaras. I've been to temples. I really understand that the core foundation of what everybody is really trying to say is there is one greater being. And
but what's the jungle like? Because that sounds a bit mad.
I'm taking you, Limelight. I'm taking you to the jungle.
I'm definitely not trying to be in no jungle. I'm
gonna take you out of the concrete. I'm taking you out of the concrete jungle and into the real deal.
With a lion chewing on my leg, and, you know, like, I don't know.
And that's the thing. You really need to experience real life. Not you and personally. I'm saying in general.
No, she's talking about
what have I been doing for my whole life? You know
in general, you need to be stripped down and just come face to the altar as you are, and really take away all of your creature comforts and really, really understand what it's truly like to be human is when your face is down in nature.
Which jungle was you in? Like, is
Peru.
It like,
in Peru.
Oh,
wow.
Crazy, yeah. Because Peru is very spiritual, right? There's a lot of stuff about Peru, yeah. I remember reading a book about scriptures from Peru and stuff like that.
You want to come in December?
I'm scared to go anywhere that doesn't have...
You have to replace the fear of the unknown with curiosity.
I'm scared to go anywhere that doesn't have aircon.
She's trying to heal you right now.
Because they don't have aircon? Is that what you said?
I'm joking, man. Just go easy on me. You know what I mean?
Aircon is the number one.
So what? The number one what?
The number one destroyer of your immune system.
No, I actually agree.
What do you mean you agree? The other
agree.
day, me and Sims was in her car, and I said to her, open the window. She goes, no, I like the aircon.
It's because her hair will get frizzy.
No, that's fine. but she's like, no, the aircon's way more comfortable than the window open. And I said, no.
Because of my hair, she just said.
So you'd rather have nice hair and your lungs dying?
I don't have it on for too long, but the reason why I said I agree, even though I have the aircon on, because when it's hot in the UK, it's a different level of hot. It's not a nice heat. But anyways,
I get it.
Reason why I had the aircon on and I agree with that is because if I have the aircon on for too long, I instantly feel like I'm
Get sick.
falling ill.
Yeah, because anything that's fake or produced.
But she's
by-
addicted to the egg. It's like it's become crack for her.
What's the truth here, guys?
One thing I was going to ask though is obviously, I feel like obviously we're in 2024, everyone's kind of addicted to their phones, laptops, everything,
So
screens,
sad.
right?
Super sad.
Obviously, with your healing and stuff, do you find that people who are more kind of addicted to that and they have that lifestyle, maybe they work from the phone, maybe they work from a laptop all day, similar to kind of what I guess we do, we're always
All of us, all three of
editing.
us, to be fair,
Yeah.
even yourself, because you know the Light Force Center. I'm guessing you do a lot
It's
of things.
online.
You mentioned the Zoom and
This
everything.
is a great question.
Yeah, so everything is pretty much online
Yeah.
these days. You know, we're working with phones, laptops all day. You know, sometimes I find myself after I've done a session of editing, I've literally think to myself, why have I just been sat down for like the last 3
Forever.
hours and not even got up? And that is surely not healthy. But do you find that people who have that lifestyle, which is majority of people these days, have more things they need to heal within because maybe they're not experiencing, I don't know,
This is a great
natural
question.
life?
I'm going to give you the best advice for this. So, in the morning ritual at the Light Force Center and in your new lives, you're in the community, there's a rule. It's the 50-50 rule, okay? 50 minutes before you go to sleep, you do not touch your devices at all. And in those 50 minutes, because think about it, there's programs constantly running, whether on your phone, on your editing app, on Instagram, on all that other BS, right? And those programs are designed to keep you there, right?
Yeah.
And now we're getting into the world where people are giving it to their children at dinners. It drives me fucking crazy. Like, it's so bad, like, because people don't understand how to truly connect anymore, that they have to disconnect so much because they're so disconnected from everything else that it's a quick fix. It's the blue light. It keeps you there, right? So 50 minutes before bed, you do not touch your screens. You will sleep better. You will be a better human being. You won't have that crazy tension and anxiety. And then 50 minutes in the morning, when you wake up, you do not grab your phone. You get up, you go and you make a hot cup of water with lemon and salt to alkaline your body and readjust your pH. And then you sit. If you do that every single day, you can have a job like this. You can go out and do all of those things that I told you about. The 40%, it comes from doing work for you. So if you can actually keep with that rule, because when you have the screens and when you have a constant
I'm going to be honest with you.
source
I
of-
already do all this stuff, by the way. I'm not even capping either. Like,
Good.
I legitimately do it because my dad does
That's
it. Like, my
amazing.
dad's up at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell he's doing sometimes when I'm with him or I'm around him.
The biggest
He's doing
spiritual
something
experience happens between 3 and 4 a.m.
Right.
The
He's
prayers.
up at 3,
Yeah.
4. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even making this up. And he's doing something.
Yeah.
And my mum always makes jokes about him.
But he knows what's up.
Yeah,
I
he
bet
knows
you-
what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, he's like 70.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And like, he taught me, like, even with the whole drinking the water, the warm water with the lemon and the salt, first thing in the morning, not even touching my phones, like things like that are very, very like important, and that actually does shape up my day as well. And that's one of the reasons why I even have a dog, because what
Yeah,
happens
because
is
they make you get up and go like. Take
yeah,
care
but
of
you
it.
end up spending so much time with him.
Yeah.
You're playing around. I'm playing around with the dog. I'm thinking, oh shit, I haven't even touched my phone for the last 45 minutes, and
it's amazing.
time just flies when you're with
If
him.
you can have discipline in your life of what you eat and how you really take care of yourself, you can do anything. Literally, you can really do anything if you actually sit down and you're like, I'm going to do this for me. And that's the problem. We've been so programmed to do everything else for everyone else that we forget that if we fill our cups up, then everything else will be abundant and flowing,
Yeah, and you know, like in the UK, there's like Eddie Abu. He's like a online guy,
Yeah.
and he's really famous here. I don't know if he's going around the world at the moment, but
Yeah.
like his numbers are crazy. Everyone's paying attention to him, and he has like a very specific diet. Like he literally just eats eggs and like steak, and like he has a certain way of eating.
I think it's like protein heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And he eats like at certain times of the day, but it's like you can literally see videos. Like he was a famous bodybuilder back in the day.
Okay.
But like you can actually see how healthy he's become now and how trimmed he is, and he's like
Yeah.
in his 60s, and he's gone absolutely viral because of it. Because what he's kind of teaching the young people has opened a lot of eyes, especially to like processed foods and things like that. I mean, do you have any opinions on that? I'm guessing you probably have
Yeah.
quite strong opinions when it comes to food, right?
Super strong. So, look, I always say do what you feel intuitively, but you really need to be connected to your own body. And this is what I really love to teach, is that we always feel like we need an outsider opinion on what we really need. So your subconscious is more powerful than anything else. If you ask yourself, you literally close your eyes and you say, what do I need? You will get the answer. And that's for everything, not just food. And people are always like, I don't know how I feel. I'm like, well, ask yourself, how do you feel? And they're like, what do you mean ask myself? It's weird. But no, why have we given up this innate tool to other people for them to tell us how we feel, what we need, right? Just go inside, ask yourself, what do I need, right? How do you feel when you do certain things? How do you feel when you eat certain things? And then with those answers, make your life about that. But you have to be so disciplined right now, especially in the world. Like, our food is being poisoned. Our water is being poisoned. We drink out of plastic. Not we, but most people. Our whole program on what actually healthy eating is gone out the window. There's not even organic seeds available really lately, right? We have to be so disciplined in how we eat and what we eat that it becomes a lifestyle. It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. You cannot afford to not anymore. Like, we are in 2024, we should be flying in the sky like the Jetsons, but instead they're taking all of our power away from us so that we don't advance. Why? Because they don't want you to feel good. They don't want you to be good. Why? Because the whole system will fall that way. We'll lose all the pharmaceuticals, all the billionaires, all of the, vaccine, all of that bullshit that's all a system, right? But there's very few people who really understand that you are what you eat, and it's true. You have to get now we have to do, over supplementation, but everything you consume has to be organic. You have to have structured water. You have to have regenerative farming. You have to be able to teach. My kids have never even had actual processed sugar. They don't even know what a lollipop or any of that stuff is. Why? Because like, even my parents or people are like, it's fine, it's just a treat. I'm like, if you look on a label of a candy bar, for instance, a Snicker, anything, there's actually weed Roundup killer and caking agents and emulsifiers. If you were cooking in your kitchen, would you go grab all that stuff and put it in your thing?
Of course
no.
Not.
So why do you eat it off of a shelf? Because you can't really see the process. But processed food is absolutely disgusting. Everything else that has been like fast food and all of that, it's also run by the most horrible corporations in the world who are funding the wars, right? Who then end up killing our people. It's the most terrible thing you can do.
And it's all intentional as well.
And people are like, oh, you're so snobby about the way you eat. I'm not snobby. I'm actually just really intelligent. And
I think you've educated yourself into understanding that, and
it has a big result in your well-being. If you go and you eat a gluten-full processed burger with, somebody who has killed an animal without intention. Intention is everything.
I'm not going to lie, I think Sanjeev is loving the sound of it. Her stomach just rumbled when you said that.
But that's the thing. It's like we're programmed to eat. We don't even need to eat that much. I fast more than I eat. I fast 20 to 21 hours a day. Today was the first time I had breakfast in I don't even know how long, because we are programmed. And when you don't eat, actually, you're at a higher intelligence. You can function better. Your body does not digest it.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Yeah.
But also, it's the things that are being put into our foods, right? There is so much beauty in cooking, but it's been lost. And I think it's really important to also teach our children that, because like I grew up eating terrible. I mean, like, and then also in our culture, it's so yummy, but all the ingredients are just, they're designed to keep you lower and not feeling that great, which is why everybody is so sick. You're not, and then what do? You say, I have heartburn. Look at it, give you a pill. You say that you have indigestion. Now you have diabetes, but you're eating all this mitai and these sweets and all this stuff all the time. But the ingredients are crazy.
Nah, you can't attack the mitai.
You have to, but babe, I know, but babe, it's wild. It's really wild at what it does to your, and then it attacks your emotional well-being, which is the worst. So then you're acting crazy. You're acting crazy too. But there's good ways of making yummy things now. You don't really have to have.
I think it's just about like educating yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I think it's also about the people you're around, because
100%, you are who you hang out with.
When I was a kid, my dad and He'll probably kill me for saying this, but he used to buy me McDonald's.
Yeah. I don't know any parents from our old age that didn't.
No,
I
but
grew up
obviously,
on it
like, he's
too.
Hindu. He's not meant to buy me Big Macs, but he was buying me beef. But now he's like completely on the other side of the spectrum, where it's like I'm actually asking him more questions about why he eats what he eats and why he doesn't eat what he doesn't eat.
That's
basically,
amazing.
right? And like that education is so vital, but like
it is.
people don't know where to go. I mean, like, I don't know if you have an opinion on like Dr. Sebi and people like that.
Of course, love him.
What's your like kind of thoughts on people like that? Because there's a lot of like conspiracies around his name, and
The difference between the truth and a conspiracy theory is 6 months. Literally. Everything is the truth. That's usually a conspiracy theory, right? Look at the vaccines, for instance. Look at all that bullshit that happened in COVID, which was not real.
No, it was ridiculous. It was.
Let's be honest. Dr. Sebi is a genius. They don't want people around who have the answers to the truth because it objects the system. Facts. That's it. But there has been cures for everything for a very, very long time, and anybody that comes close to it who can mess up anything within the system will be taken out. Point blank, you know? My advice for all of that is educate yourself. Like you said, it's 2024. If you are still here drinking out of plastic, you know, having processed foods, not really giving a shit about the environment, then you're a part of the old earth. In the new earth, we are actually taking care of ourselves. We're healing, we're eating properly, we're teaching, and we're making a difference. And if you want to still be a part of that old system, you're not making a choice for yourself. And it's all about you, to be honest. And it's up to you to educate yourself, watch the right things, hang around with the right people, right? And and you know what? I'm very empathetic to it because it is an addiction. It's an actual addiction. Food is an addiction, just like alcohol or anything else, you know? But when you think of it as an addiction, you don't really need all of that. Right. And then even on cheat days or whatever, it's conscious. I'm not cheating going to McDonald's. I'm cheating having a piece of bread that's like from, you know, it's all of it. Like, who are the companies behind the ketchup that you put in your food? They're enslaving millions of people around the world. Who are the people that on all of our iPhones? That's cobalt from Sudan. Everything has a fucking purpose and reason. Sorry for cursing, but it's really frustrating because the majority of the world is asleep, right? And we have to be the ones. We're the new Earth. We're the new Earth generation, and we're the kids that are here for that. And it's just it's not cool anymore to like do all of those things. Back in the day, it was like dope. Like, oh, we're going to McDonald's and we'll chill like after school and high school and like all of that. But it's not. It's actually when you wake up and you can see like, oh my God, like McDonald's is run by this, Coca-Cola's like, you can literally dissolve a paperclip inside of a Coca-Cola.
You see a lot of clips like that
right?
online,
So
right?
why is that still happening?
True.
You know, why would you give that to your children? Out of, you know,
No, it's true.
And I'm passionate about it because it makes me so sad to see that people just won't evolve.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just not about that, which is why I was saying you are who you hang out with.
Yeah, it's
100%.
true.
Yeah.
Another thing I found quite interesting because it's kind of something I can relate on with you, but not fully because I don't think I've healed it, but like
it's okay, we'll get there.
Yeah, so obviously you've mentioned that when you had that car accident you were told you can't have kids, you were going to live with chronic pain, you won't be able to touch your toes, for example. So I think it's important to like touch on, should you be, obviously to an extent, should you kind of listen to like a medical profession if they tell you that? Because for example, in my situation, a lot of people have the condition. I've got endometriosis, which is a chronic condition, and you kind of get told you need to just go on this and you're good. Go on this pill and you'll be healed. But we all know that that's not really the case, right?
Right.
So I think for a lot of people who are listening and even have that condition, how can they heal naturally? Like obviously you probably have those answers, but is it important to make sure you don't listen to that straight away and figure out, okay, cool, what can I do to actually heal naturally?
Disclaimer, I am not a medical professional.
Yes.
Do not come after me.
That's what I was like, I'm not telling
Because
you to
they
give
come
medical
after
advice.
me. But listen, every single thing that is physical has an emotional relation. I will speak to you privately about what it is. But everybody go and get this book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. and it gives you the exact, so for instance, it'll say endometriosis, what the symptoms are behind that. It's usually sexual abuse. It could be something from your past life. It could be some sort of shame. Anything with your genitals is usually, or like around your, root chakra, has to do with something like that, right? I'm not saying don't listen to medical professionals. There's a time and place for anything, everything. If you're in a car accident, you're not going to be able to meditate yourself out of it. You need medical attention. But there are very rare times where there are solutions for actual deep healing. And the thing is, your mind has the power. Like Dr. Joe Dispenza, have you heard of him, right? Same story as me. He healed himself from the most chronic car accident by meditating his way out of it, by just the pure belief that I'm going to take what has happened to me and I'm going to convert it into something else, because there is no chemical. There's no chemical that is going to make you into your full power than your own brain, your own mind, and your own heart. And so, yeah, it's really about identifying it and seeing where you want to go, what you're going to do. Unfortunately, most people don't have the courage or the strength because they are around so much different advice. If they were around a bunch of us and we're like, yo, no, you can do it, right? They're around people who have suffered the same way and they only know one way, and it's to go to the doctor for everything, and it's like, go to a pharmacy that starts with an F, and really just, if you change the way you eat, change the way you think, and you change the way you really want to live your life, then you can do it. 100%. I've seen it in, you guys, the worst of the worst situations. I've witnessed endometriosis, autoimmune diseases, cancers, rapes, everything. And it's just really about understanding. And even when you have that thought, like, should I not go to a doctor? That's your sign. Yeah. Your intuition, your gut has the same amount of heart neurons. So that's when they say, like, trust your gut. It's because that is your instinct of like, no, I'm not going to do that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to trust yourself. Yeah. And that's with any situation. If you feel weird about anything and there's a slight no, if it's not a full fuck yes, no. Why even go about the maybes? Some people, that's quite interesting, because I always trust my gut. I'm someone who's always like, if I have any weird feeling towards anything or anyone, I'm like, no, my gut said it. But some people have this like opposite thing where they're like, no, that's just like your mind telling you that, people, I've seen it on TikTok as well. They're like, is it really your gut, or is it like some past, I don't know, trauma telling you not to do this? But you're kind of saying that always trust your gut. Even if it's a no from a past trauma, that's when you should really trust it. Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's coming from within.
Always.
Yeah, definitely.
I won't even go out if there's like a slight chance that there's going to be, the energy is off. Your presence is not needed in anywhere that is not a high vibration.
You said something about the pharmacy beginning with F, or how do you, what was it?
FARM.
No, I know
I called that on 2 minutes later and I just started laughing.
No, but just say it again, please.
Yeah. What did I say?
Go to a pharmacy that begins with F, yeah?
Yeah, go to the pharmacy.
I'm going to trademark that tonight.
It's mine. Yeah, go to the pharmacy that starts with an F.
I like that.
Always.
Yeah. That was quite funny. When you said that, I only clocked on like a minute later and I was like, oh, that's quite cool. I clocked straight away and I was thinking, you know what, that's such a cool slogan, because like, that they're the kind of things that the young people need to hear.
Yeah,
more, right?
Absolutely.
You know
absolutely.
What I mean?
You know what? And you guys, I'm out here preaching this because I was at the other pharmacy. They gave me everything to suppress me, to just keep me on the hamster wheel, going and going and going, because it's a system. They don't want you to get better. Yeah. There's not one person in that hospital that told me, hey, how are you emotionally? Or, hey, what can you, like, and there's so many clients of mine who come and say, they told me I have stage 4 cancer without even the tests coming back. It's crazy how people can really alternate your thought process. And then when you're in that state, imagine somebody telling you might have stage 4 cancer when they don't even have your blood results back. It's wild and then what happens to you, right? It's just cortisol. So we have to like erase all of that, bring your serotonin up, keep you happy and healthy. And the only way to do that is to keep your mind clean. And the only way to do that is to not be on anything from a pharmacy with a P,
For sure. Well, no, for sure. So like Light Force Center is real interesting because this conversation is you know, I feel like people won't feel alien to hearing these things either, because these things are popping up. Like you said, it's 2024, it's a new world, like we should be educating ourselves. So how can people get themselves involved in the Light Force Center? Because it's, you know, online as well, it's global.
Of course. So for the Culture Podcast, I've created a link so that all of your listeners and all of your people can go on for free to access the course material, such as the morning ritual, which is the most fundamental part of it all. If you can sit, like we talked about, right? So you wake up in the morning, you do your tea, you don't touch your phone. And then the Light Force Blessings meditation is designed to rewire your brain. So you can break any habit in 21 days. It takes 21 full days to break a habit. If you're an absolute legend, maybe 14, right? Mm-hmm. So if you sit down for consecutively 21 to 30 days and you rewire your brain, your body will react, right? Your physical body will say, oh, he's doing something different now. I'm going to go this way instead of giving her a panic attack today. I'm going to go this way because, no, that doesn't exist anymore, because you yourself are saying, I am. You're constantly affirming, I am this, and beautiful things. When's the last time you sat down and just told yourself, looked at your body, literally talked to yourself? It sounds crazy, but talk to yourself and said, I'm beautiful, I'm powerful, I'm dope, I can do this, I can do that, instead of, I don't, you know, like even when people give you compliments, sometimes you can't even receive it because you don't believe you are when you know that you are, right? And so many people, especially in our industry or like, you know, in entertainment, they are these fucking superstars, but I guarantee you that 90% of them don't believe that on the outside. It's a show. But what if the entire thing was an actual real show? The real reality show that everybody would love to see is a dope, you know, individual who has completely believed in themselves. And it's so easy. And so I would love to give that to everyone here. And, you know, it just takes a yes. Even in your system, when your system realizes that you're saying yes to something, it's a full change. You'll notice everything will start to be like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for myself. I'm going to commit to myself, just like you would do to your scheduled Google meetings. Like you show up for yourself with the same energy that you do for everything else that's important, but you should be the number one most important thing in your own life. And when you are like that, then you have the business of leading in purpose. That's when purpose comes. The prerequisite to the full embodiment of your purpose is healing yourself first, 100%. We have so many people going around who are coaches and leaders who are wounded. And it's so sad. It's like, you're my teacher, you know, and you see all these spiritual bypassers who are yogis and this and that. You can drink all the green juice you want. You can have the 6-pack abs, but if you don't take care of what's inside of you, it does not matter, you know, which is why we say mind, body, spirit over everything.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That sounds really insightful. And I think it's opened our eyes up as well. It's made us a lot more aware and a lot more conscious as well. And I hope anyone that locks in and tunes into this, obviously, episode and what we're talking about gets kind of almost like a brainwave, to be honest. And it's been a pleasure. But before you do go, obviously you're working on music as well.
Yes.
I think that's something that you should definitely...
Do you know why? Because my role was to always influence the influencers. I want to be at the point where music with both of you is so important, right? It's of the highest vibration. People are chanting, it's spelling, right? What are they saying? Is it, you know, so much of it is such bad wording, right? So I wanted to come in there and like really change the vibration of what people are saying and what they're listening to. Because when you're like in the club and you're repeating the same thing over and over and you're at a hertz that's below 528 or 428, it's a low vibration, right? And so when you can influence or heal the people at the top, the music changes. And when the music changes, the audience changes. And when the audience changes, the substance changes. And when you're just there to create a positive change on a whole other level, that was my goal for going for the music.
That's really interesting, because I feel like people wouldn't even think that deep into why someone started music, but that's a very interesting take on it. But we got to hear one of your songs that is going to be coming out. Won't say too much about it. Won't say too much about it, but it sounded really dope and we're really, really excited.
Thank you so
about
much
that collab as well.
Definitely. Is there any final message you want to leave to the people? I mean, you kind of said a few deeper things at the end, but if there's anything you want to leave to the people, obviously they can join the Light Force Center as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Instagram or anywhere. It's just thelightforcecenter.com/red pill. But what I will leave you with is whatever you are going through and whatever you have gone through, the distance of where you are now and where you want to go is only as great as you think it to be. So take the chance, make the risk, do what you have to do to get out of your comfort zone and really make a difference in the world, because what are we here for if we're not here to help one another? And what are we here for if we're not making a difference and giving back and going into more philanthropic things instead of worrying about why we have anxiety and shame and all of that? It's super easy to clear. And I promise you that if you commit to yourself and you commit to you before anything else, that, your life will really, really excel. And my favorite quote is, "The light is the way and the way is the light, and what's not of the light is in the way."
Oh.
Wow.
That was a really nice
That was better than the pharmacy. No, actually, the pharmacy one was my one.
That's your one.
I think we've learned a lot as well.
Awesome. I love you guys. Thank you for having me.
Loved having you on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
One more thing is really important. You don't have to change who you are or how you dress or what you come across as to become healed. You know what I mean? You can still be who you are in every character, and you can dress the way you want, and you can express yourself, because the thing is, we've been suppressed and we should think we're supposed to dress a certain way and do a certain thing, where more self-expression comes from when you're really healed and you feel good about yourself and you're confident. Then do that.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
It's been a pleasure.
So much.